we'll skip the last few parts of example 2 because they work exactly the same way, and we're going to be doing some more problems like that again in a minute. So we're starting now at the top of page 42 with significant digits. So the homework is going to ask you to answer questions with a certain number of significant digits. So you need to understand what significant digits are. So significant digits count the number of numbers that are in the problem rather than the place value of the problem. And we're going to count every number 1 through 9. Those are always counted. So then we need to talk about when zeros are counted as a number and when they're not. So zeros are counted if they're after a decimal. Zeros are counted if they're between two other numbers that aren't zeros. But zeros are not counted if they're at the end of a number that doesn't have anything after the decimal. So the idea behind this is that you use the number of significant digits that are in the problem to tell you how many significant digits there should be in your answer. And you round so the number of significant digits is correct. So let's practice this now in the next example. So here we have 94 cubic feet, and we're trying to get to cubic yards. So again, using the conversion page, it's on page 39. Under volume, you'll see 1 cubic yard is equal to 27 cubic feet is equal to 46,656 cubic inches. Now for our problem, we only care about this first part. So we'll start with this 94 cubic feet over 1. And then we're going to write a fraction. Because this has cubic feet on the top, we're going to put the cubic feet on the bottom. And this other part that's left will go on the top. So the cubic feet will cancel out. And we multiply straight across. 94 times 1 is 94. 1 times 27 is 27. We have cubic yards for our units. So when we take 94 divided by 27, we get 3.48148148, and it keeps going. So here's where we need to look at significant digits. 94 has two significant digits, the 9 and the 4. That means we want our answer to also have two significant digits. So we look for the first two numbers we see, the 3 and the 4. Now for this 4, we have to decide, is it going to stay a 4 or go up? We look at the number after it. It's the 8. That's 5 or bigger, so the 4 will go up. And we don't want the rest of that. So we would write 3.5 cubic yards as our answer. Two significant digits, not two numbers after the decimal place. It's a little bit of different thinking. So here's a 3 is a significant digit and a 5 is a significant digit. Remember, any number that's not 0 is always significant. It's always counted. Let's do another one. So here we're trying to do gallons and cubic inches. So again, under volume, we can see that 1 gallon is equal to 231 cubic inches. So we'll start with the 12 gallon, 12.0 gallons over 1. The gallons is on top, so we want the gallons here to be on the bottom. This that's left will go on top. And then we'll multiply straight across. So we have 12.0 times 231. And we get 2772 over 1 times 1 is 1. The gallons canceled out, so here we have cubic inches left. And so here we have 2772 cubic inches. We need to talk about our significant digits. So this tells us already here that there's 3 significant digits. The 1's significant, the 2 is significant, and the 0 is significant because it's after a decimal. We have to count it. Because that has 3 significant digits, we need our answer to have 3 significant digits. So 2, the 7, and the 7. That means this 2 we need to do something different with. We need to round it so that the 7 is the last number we see that's not 0. So the 2 is below a 5, so the 7 will stay the same, and we'll write our answer as 2770 cubic inches. So the significant digits are really telling us about how to round. It's just a different way of rounding it. And it's trying to say that if this person was careful enough to measure that to 12.0, then we can be sure of our answer to 2,770 cubic inches. This was rounded at some point, which means that this has to be rounded, and we want the rounding spot to match in both places. Let's look at another one. Here again, this is volume. The very first item under volume says 1 cubic foot is equal to 1,728 cubic inches. So we'll start with this, and we're going to put it over 1, so 0.25 cubic feet over 1. Make yourself write the units after the number. That will help you keep things straight as the problems get more complicated. Because the cubic feet were on top here, we want the cubic feet to be on the bottom. And then this that's left will go on the top. That allows the cubic feet to cancel out, and we'll multiply straight across 0.25 times 1728, and we get 432. 1 times 1 is 1 cubic inches. Now we need to check our significant digits. It tells us that we have 2 significant digits. That's the 2 and the 5. The 0 doesn't count because it's before the decimal and there's no number in front of it. So we only count the 2 and the 5. So that means for our answer here we only want 2 significant digits, the 4 and the 3. The 2 that's after the 3 tells the 3 to stay the same because the 2 is 4 and lower. So we'll round it to 430 cubic inches. We'll do one more here where it tells us about the significant digits. So again, this is volume, and on your sheet it tells you that 1 BU, that's bushel, 1 bushel, is equal to 2,150.42 cubic inches. So we'll start with the cubic inches, 10,500 cubic inches. Always put it over 1. Times. Cubic inches is on top here, so we want the cubic inches here to be on the bottom. 2,150.42 cubic inches. And that leaves this 1 bushel to go on top. Cubic inches will cancel out, and we're left, when we multiply straight across, with 10,500 over 2,150.42 bushels. So let's divide. And we get 4.882767, and it keeps going. So let's look at our significant digits. It tells us that there's 3, so let's look at that. The 1 is significant, and the 5 is significant, and any zeros that are between 2 other numbers are counted as significant. So the 0 in between is significant. Now the zeros that are at the end don't count unless there's a decimal and there's numbers after the decimal. So the zeros after the 5 don't count. So the first 3 numbers count as our 3 significant digits. So here we want to have 3 significant digits. The number after the 8 is a 2, and that tells us the 8 needs to stay the same. So we have our answer is 4.88 bushels.